Arnold, assuming universalism is true, where there is one subject of experience that underlies all conscious beings, what would be the implication for the nature of ultimate reality? Now, the question of ultimate reality deals with the laws of physics, or people who believe in God can bring God into it. People who believe in cosmic consciousness can have that. So, ultimate reality is this broad category that human history and human creativity has populated with different ways of thinking. So, what I'm asking you is, if universalism is true, what contribution can it make to the nature of ultimate reality?
I think that universalism in itself makes no contribution. It's neutral with regard to any theory of ultimate reality. If that theory, on the other hand, is seeking to account for personal identity in some different way from universalism, of course it clashes.
Okay, so when one constructs a theory of ultimate reality, human centered as we are, we always have a theory of personal identity or personal existence within an ultimate reality theory. I mean, that would be part of it, because we are part of ultimate reality. So then, would universalism constrain your theory of ultimate reality in any sense?
No, again, except insofar as it's pronouncing, itself on this issue of personal identity. So, for example, suppose you had a very radical view that of a Hindu sort, a Vedantic sort, that there's just one Vishnu who was all of reality, both conscious things and the matter is maybe just Maya. I don't know, whatever. But it's all just one,
Right,
with illusions of distinctions and so on.
right.
Now, what I would say is I walk along to Vishnu and I say, um, wherever there's immediacy of experience, it's yours, it's mine, only because of that, not because there's one thing having it. Not, so if you think that there being one thing having it is what makes it all yours, then my view clashes with yours, because I think it's much simpler that the experience is inherently, intrinsically yours in being immediate. And it would be just as much yours if reality was broken apart into distinct things. So that's what I'm trying to say about it, that in a way it's got no relevance to it, unless it wants to intrude itself into the question of personal identity in a way that conflicts with it.
Okay, but doesn't the fact that universalism creates this sense that when there is the immediacy of experience, that all experiencers of that immediacy of experience are experiencing the same thing? They're all doing that. It's not just me that's being that's having the experience of all these things. It's every one of them also.
Yeah, but that's what makes it anything be you. How do you find yourself among all conscious things?
Right.
You're the one whose experience is immediate,
Yes.
right? But there isn't a one whose experience is immediate. Yeah, if you took, in the book, at the end of the first part of the book, I talk
Yeah.
about
Finding
mental
myself. Your book.
description, of the world taken in a comprehensive way. Everything is seen, but something's left out, which is that this one is Thomas Nagel. But in fact, there's a this one is this, that, all over the place. It's all the same. There isn't anything that distinguishes a Thomas Nagel as a self, a center of reality. That isn't there in all the rest. Exactly the same. So, yeah, I'm not sure how it connects with what we're saying about ultimate
Yeah.
reality.
So, what does that imply about the nature of ultimate reality? I mean, ultimate reality, if it's the most bedrock way of describing all that exists, and you're saying that the first person immediacy of experience is this fundamental uh, thing we share in common, all conscious entities. That seems like a foundational point of what ultimate reality is, because you have to account for that.
Well, I don't have to account for what consciousness is, right? I'm only interested in it having that property.
Okay, but you have to account for that property. And your ultimate
Well,
reality,
I've just find that property.
oh, you don't have to explain it, but if you find that property, that means that property is a fundamental part of ultimate reality.
Not necessarily. I could be a solipsist, right? There could be just immediacy of experience in one place because there
Okay,
isn't anything else. Well, it would be me. Why would it be me? Not because I was the one thing, but because of the immediacy of the experience. That's
right.
what makes it mine.
But
Uh,
but if that's the case, it also makes it a fundamental foundation of ultimate reality. Somebody else may define ultimate reality and say
yeah,
you need the quantum laws of physics or quantum mechanics or
yeah,
what's below
okay,
quantum mechanics, string theory. They say you need that
yeah.
and then you can develop whatever you want.
I'm more
But
with
you're
those
saying
guys. Okay, what
so
what
you're
I think is what I think is this, right? Uh, I think what it is basically has nothing to do with consciousness, right? I think, and this I've figured this out by using the probability principles I discuss in the second part of the book,
yeah
right?
yeah
What
finding
makes most
myself.
probable what I observe in my own
Yep, yep,
experience, right?
yeah,
What makes it most probable to occur is that consciousness is a very infrequent thing in reality.
yeah,
And reality doesn't give a damn about it, right? It develops on account of things that are impersonal. Uh, and but once it's there, there's this truth about what makes any consciousness mine. But it's not because it's so fundamental to reality. So I think reality rests on whatever makes the material world be what it is. And that's something I either leave it to physicists or I think maybe it's even beyond them. Uh, but, there's something generating all this stuff,
yeah,
incredible amounts of it. And I believe in the multiverse, as you know. I believe it takes all kinds of different forms. It matters very protean in character. It doesn't give a damn about life, but in some occasional universes, it is such as to be able to produce life, right? So I think what ultimate reality is. I don't want to, identify this with universalism. I could think consciousness was the most important thing in reality, be an idealist of some sort. Then the universalism would still remain the same. And the experience would be mine if it was immediate, pure and simple, right? But I think most of reality is impersonal. It has no experience in it, right? No, I'm not a panpsychist either. I'm a functionalist. I think the experience comes into existence because of the functional arrangement of physical particles. That's what I think. But what makes any experience mine in any of those views of ultimate reality is has to be, if you want the truth, it has to be the immediacy of the experience. and nothing else.
You make the point that universalism may sound superficially like some kind of an occult theory or New Age theory, because the claim is that, like, I'm all conscious things, I'm part of the oneness of experience, and these are all characteristics of many New Age theories.
Sure.
And you say universalism is nothing of that sort.
Nothing of that sort. I mean, here's one source of confusion. Okay, what we normally are thinking is within a certain integration, it's mine. Outside of that, it's others. It's not mine.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Okay, so what I am arguing is that no integration is irrelevant. That it being mine doesn't depend on being tightly sewn in, where every moment I can remember the 35th bite of breakfast 200 days ago.
Yeah.
Right? That's making it mine because it's connected in memory. I don't have much memory of that. But I know that it was had in an immediate first person way. So I think of it as my experience.
Yeah.
But anyway, the normal thing is to think it's got to be integrated, all drawn together, and that much is mine, like that one red object having be that object. Okay, but Zuboff is arguing that the integration is irrelevant. You can bisect the brain, and it's still mine on both sides just as much. That you can have the eagle looking down on the mouse, and they're both they've not integrated at all mentally, but it's both mine. Okay, so that Zuboff's saying this. Okay, wonderful. That's what Zuboff's saying. So, and then after a little while, maybe an hour goes by, and you're trying to remember what Zuboff said. He thinks that's all mine, so he must think it's all connected. Yeah, that must be his view. Yeah, that underneath there's some, universal subconscious, or there's, it must be connected because, of course, he thinks it has to be connected to be me. But no, I'm letting go of that completely. It's a false requirement. So I'm not going to bring it back. When I argue that with brain bisection, it's you on both sides, of those the hemispheric activity, right? I'm not saying, and that connects the hemispheres together. Suddenly tendrils reach across because they're both mine. Forget it. It's got, maybe, let's say all minds are connected. Get as occult as you like. I'm still saying that they're me only because of the immediacy of their experience, not because of that connection. Well, it makes it easier to see if it is there. But I don't think it is there myself. But I'm not out to argue.
But it doesn't matter for universalism. It wouldn't matter. You have this very wonderful quote from the book Finding Myself, an excellent book, recommended to everybody. You say universalism is completely neutral regarding all theories of the nature of things, ultimate existence. And then you say, from the most tough-minded materialistic science to the most tender-minded anti-materialistic mysticism or supernaturalism, it doesn't matter.
That's it. Exactly. You can trust me on that one.